been so conditioned to see rest as stopping. We're like, oh, when you think about rest, it's just, oh, it's stopping, it's shutting down, it's doing absolutely nothing. And that may sound good in theory, but if you're like me, which I know many of you are, especially those who have been living inside this hustle culture, feeling like you constantly need to be doing, proving your worth, feeling the pressure to be constantly productive, rest does not feel safe. It feels like a trap. That's why so many people will sit out here and say privately, rest feels like a luxury because it doesn't feel like it's for them. Even though in their mind they may know it's not, but this rest of doing nothing, shutting down, stopping, that feels like a trap. So on this episode 3 in Reclaiming Rest series, today we are reimagining what rest can look like. Not just the TV version, not a spa retreat, not this perfect setup of you're in a perfectly quiet room, there's no sound, there's no distractions, it has everything you need to finally rest. We're waiting for that moment. Nah, I'm talking about rest in real life. Rest in those tiny moments when urgency meets choice. And I want to start off with saying these aren't productivity hacks. So often we treat rest as a form of recharging so we can get back to producing. So I want to shift that narrative, and we've been talking about that in the other episodes of this series. So these aren't productivity hacks, but these are more acts of nervous system repair. And if you've been listening to the series, you already know rest is not about relaxation. It's about whether your body feels safe or not. And that kind of rest, y'all, it doesn't always look how we were sold. When we were sold the lie of it's just stopping, it's pausing, it's being in this quiet room, and you're wondering like, okay, I'm trying these things and this doesn't feel like it's hitting right. So I'm inviting you to be open. I can't say I want you to be, but I'm inviting you to be open to the possibilities that rest can look in a way that we never could even ever imagine. Because that's what we're talking about today. Welcome to the LOL with Danielle podcast, your weekly minification from the daily grind for busy women who just need a moment to pause, breathe, and find rest that actually works in the real world. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. As a yoga therapist, I love talking about rest because if doing absolutely nothing made you feel rested, felt good, it would have worked by now. It would have worked by now. But rest, the way we've been sold, the lies we've been sold, doesn't land for everyone. And we need to honor that form of rest doesn't feel safe to everyone. Because when you rest and it doesn't feel safe, that means it can't feel restorative. So just play with me, what if we let go of this fantasy, this Disney version of stillness is the only way to really get rest, and reimagined a way that could work for us in the lives that we currently live and not the ones we see on TV. Because what I feel the setup is, this doing nothing version is not for everyone. Because stillness often can feel unfamiliar, unsafe. And so when you try to do nothing, it actually spikes up your nervous system and it sets off the alarms of like, danger, danger, you are not safe. And so your body starts acting out. So rest can't really work in the body when it's on high alert. So yeah, you may be there lying down, listening to your binaural beats or listening to a guided meditation. But the reality is, while you're doing that, your body and your nervous system are bracing for the next thing. So instead of focusing in on just the aim of rest being about total stillness, what if we started looking at small moments that can interrupt those moments of danger, or urgency so you can actually start feeling safe in your body to physically, mentally, energetically feel rested. Rest has been heavy on my mind because I have been struggling in my own issues because when I kept trying to do nothing, it wasn't working. And I was like, this can't be it. What can I do to give my body these micro moments of rest that interrupts that feeling like you always have to be on, that interrupts that feeling of over functioning, over giving, having to prove, having to know everything. And so I came up with a couple. I'm not saying all these will work for you, but it got me thinking, okay, how can I utilize some of these small micro acts to help my nervous system feel like, okay, you don't have to be on right now. Rest from being responsive, rest from knowing it all, rest from performing, rest from overdoing. Like maybe you let a text go unanswered without guilt. When you're doing that, you're teaching your body that the silence is not abandonment or failure. Even just not answering a question right away. Even that small little pause of asking someone ask you what's for dinner, you just take a moment. You're giving yourself permission to pause and not to be ready on demand to perform. We're not show ponies. We're not dogs. So we don't need to be able to have the answer right away. We don't need to respond to people right away. We can wait before saying yes. We can wait before saying no. Allowing that urgency to pass through the body, because that urgency spikes up the nervous system of danger, danger, we're not safe. And this helps us to retrain our reflexes that says your value is tied to how useful you are in your world. I feel like for me, some of the things that I know I do, and that's what I was like, I kind of needed these. And it felt odd at first. I won't even lie. I'm not going to say, oh, this was so easy to do. But it was to stop mid-task before I was done. Like say if I was doing the dishes, let the dishes sit. Don't wash all of them. And by doing this, the reason why you do this is you're learning how that completion isn't always required for rest. Because so often if we earn rest by doing all these different things, then we get the reward of rest. So when you stop in that mid-task, you're training your body, you're training your nervous system that I don't have to complete everything to earn rest. You can always choose the easy option and let that be enough. You're breaking the pattern that says ease is laziness by like, oh, you don't always have to choose option hard. Option show that you are strong. Let other people figure things out. Practice being present instead of constantly just having to have the answers for everyone. And to that point, also let the future figure itself out. We're so often trying to control the future and plan and plan and plan. We're not in the present. So when you're able to practice being in the present, instead of constantly rehearsing life and getting prepared for the future, that's a small moment of rest that we may not even realize it's a rest. So I had a mentor invite me to try to rest in this way. So what she was telling me to do is if someone asked me a question, don't give the answer. Give myself a moment just to be like, oh, I don't know. I may know, but it's that rest of knowing and not having to always be on and letting that be enough. This rest really helps you stopping from grasping from always having that certainty, always having to prove yourself. And the one that has been a little bit difficult, but I've been trying to really incorporate is I've been having these moments of uselessness. And I'm like, I schedule throughout the day moments of how can I be useless? And what that means to me, because that word could be triggering to people. Maybe you use, getting comfortable with nothingness. But I like uselessness because it was like when I think of useful, I think of a strong woman. I think of someone who is a caregiver. I think of someone who's thinking and caring about our community and other people and herself and doing so much. There's pride in being useful. But I want to actually have pride in being useless. Pride in not having to produce, not having to know, not having to give, not having to perform. And so every day, I now have structured my life to where I have moments of, how can I be useless? And I will tell you, this was hard because my mind was like, let's start doing meditation. I'm like, nope, that's being useful. Let's do mantra. Nope, that's being useful. And so what I do is oftentimes I will just sit and stare at the ceiling, or I'll lie down and stare at the ceiling. Or maybe I'll go for a walk and just sit on a bench somewhere. But training my body that it's okay to be useless. It's okay to not have the answers. It's okay to rest in a way that it's a small form of rest. It's not this grandiose, I've gone to Belize and I've got this amazing resort. I'm on the beach and everything's got this perfect scene, because the reality of being able to always have that perfect scene of rest that we've been promised, that we've been sold on, often doesn't show up in our lives. But having these little micro moments of rest, that's the gold. That's the gold. And that's why it matters so much for your nervous system and to be able to start to recognize these small little micro movements, these micro acts, so it can get familiar with, oh, when you try to shift your level of productivity, of proving, and all these different things, it reminds your nervous system like, oh, okay, I don't always have to show up in this moment of, this is a dangerous moment and I need to protect this person. So it's training your body to get familiar with these small little acts of rest so you can feel safe enough to actually feel rested. And that's why these aren't hacks. These are just small interruptions from survival mode. These are gentle signals to the body that it's okay to pause in this way that looks different than what I was sold. It's okay to take moments for yourself from having to always have the answer. You're not failing by not responding fast enough or by not responding at all. You're allowing yourself to get familiar with, oh, I can rest in these moments too. And over time, the shoulders will soften, the jaw will unclench, the breath will deepen, and you'll start recognizing what real life rest really feels like. And that's the relief we're looking for. I hope you join me next week as we'll have a special Juneteenth somatic meditation so you can start really getting in the body of rest. I'll see you then. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.